no more 0506 for you this segment, Riff. We'll put that to bed for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You got to welcome on our next guest, though, Carter Hutton.
Carter Hutton!
Carter Hutton here.
How we doing, guys?
Well, we're great. How are you?
We're good. We're on lockdown. You know what I mean? Make me realize how much I like having a job.
Where are you?
We're up in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Whoa!
How's the weather up there right now?
It's pretty nice out. We still got snow on the ground, but it's been actually really nice. We've been lucky the last little bit. It's going away fast, but definitely was a drop off in temperature coming up here.
Are you on the water up there?
Right now we're not. We're in the city, but we have a cabin outside. But there's like where we are, because we're like 30 minutes from Lake Superior, so it's almost like a snow belt. So if you don't have snowshoes, you're not really getting into there right now.
Hey, let me ask you something. So, where's the cutoff from cabin to cottage? I feel like I'm from St. Catharines, so like if you go into like Muskokas or up to North Bay even, I feel like they're cottages, and then for some reason it's like after North Bay you get to Sudbury and beyond, and everyone calls them cabins.
Yeah, see, I would normally call it a camp. I was trying to be so people understand what I'm saying. Like, here, everybody calls it a camp, and like even if you go into like it looks like a house on the water, everybody calls it a camp. But I think Sault Ste. Marie, like Colin Miller, he's in Sault Ste. Marie, and I think they call it camps as well. So I think anywhere west of the Sioux is camp, and then you go south of us to like Minnesota area, anywhere in Minnesota is a cabin. Cottage is kind of
how
like fancy, you know. That's like a fancy word. That's for the big city slickers in Toronto.
Are we potentially overthinking this?
I think so, but that's all right. We're just trying to eat up time here, you know?
No, we're not, man. I'm going to tell you this. When you're talking a cottage, listen, there's all different ways of looking at it. There's the summer home. That is a big-ass friggin' place in the lake that's absolutely sick. That's like a home.
I think big boathouse when I hear that.
Big boathouse. There's your summer house. Then there's the cottage. Cottage can be brought into two. You can be the little cabin, or it can be the big house type. Once you're talking camp, now you're talking like, do you use propane to
No.
For your gas stove, or do you have all the utilities coming into your camp?
We have electric, but we have I pump water out of the lake for so we don't have any drinking water. One building has a well, and one is just drinking water. But mine's an old log cabin. Like I don't have a furnace or nothing like that. The one building's not winterized. It's a cabin. It's like it's built in 1920. It's a log cabin, bearskin on the wall. You know, this is legit. This is not fancy.
Love it. That is where you want to be, Petey. I'm telling you, when guy says cabin, now all of a sudden you're in God's country.
Carter, we're starting to think maybe an Instigator show from the cabin this summer. The camp.
I wouldn't mind it. I know Babcock will come with you. I know he's been dying to come up there. I always show him pictures and stuff. So Georgie will drive you guys.
Georgie's going to drive us? Not a chance.
Well, look out for your safety.
Have you ever heard about his driving record?
No. I've seen that. I've seen his total Dodge Ram before, his old one.
His total.
I was sending him pictures. We went out on the snowmobile the other day, and I sent him a few pictures, and he was pretty pissed off because he got that brand new snowmobile and never got to ride it this year.
He would be so livid about that. But did you ever hear about the Jay McKee Viper?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, we'll save it for another day. Did you hear about Jake McCabe on our show the other day?
No, I didn't.
Are you aware that Jake McCabe, his wife, bought him a bidet?
Really? I did not know that. That's a good wife.
Well, because we brought up the toilet paper. So, do you have a bidet?
No. I have a log cabin in the bush. Does it sound like I have a bidet?
See, this all comes down to toilet paper. So we're talking to Jake McCabe about how many rolls of toilet paper have you bought? This, that. He says, I don't use toilet paper. I have a bidet at my house. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, this guy's a genius, right? But then all of a sudden, when you talk to Carter Hutton, he doesn't use toilet paper either. He uses leaves.
Yeah. It's more rustic.
That's it.
Oh my God. All right, Carter Hutton.
Carter, how are you doing with your training? Like, what are you trying to do to stay in shape? Are you doing anything interesting?
Nothing too crazy right now. It's kind of like a weird time, right? Because you get off the ice and you don't want to totally reset because you don't know, where this is headed and what's going to happen. So like right now, just mostly like some mobility stuff and body weight stuff here at the house. I can't really just go to the gym and do stuff like you normally would when you're at home and training. So, but the team's done a really good job of like just communicating with us. Ed, our strength coach, and Brett, he kind of works with a bunch of mobility. Brett Crompton, our massage guy. So just kind of stuff like that to stay in the routine. And for most of us, it's just so habitual, right? Just trying to stay on it just in case. You never know where this is headed and when we're going to get back to it. So you want to be ready because who knows when.
Are you on TikTok at all or anything?
No, I'm not. That's not for me. But
when are we going to see a video of you squatting
so
your wife like every other NHL player right now?
Yeah, I don't. That's not for me. I don't think I would. I'd rather keep my private life private. But yeah, we do. We've been doing a lot of partner workouts. I like to get her right on my shoulders. You know what I mean? I think it's better for my core getting her a little higher up. So that's where I do my squats from.
There you go.
Oh man. Hey, can we ask you some? We were talking about, there were some polls out there. Some writers did some stuff about the team, and I wanted to ask you from a goalie's perspective, and anyone just tuning in, Carter Hutton joining us, and who on your team would you say, in terms of defensemen, when you're in net, is the best defender in the zone?
The best defender in the zone. I think for me, probably the guys that, play the most on that side of the puck, like Jake. I think Jake's really good, and Risto. I think Risto was really coming into his own more, where last year he was playing so many minutes like everywhere else too. Those guys are always playing against like top lines and the best players, and those are the guys that I think do a really good job. And a guy for me who I thought really came into his own was Henry Jokiharju. I thought as the season went on, he just was getting better and better. He was so, for a young guy to be as consistent as he was, it was pretty impressive. And not that the other players are not, doing their job in that sense, but those other guys have a little more offensive upside, and obviously Dolls from their blue line in is pretty dynamic. But a guy like Henry, I think, is really coming into his own, and Jake and Risto are pretty rock solid.
When you bring up Jokiharju, he really, really did have a nice season. A 20-year-old defenseman, first year in the league. Where do you think the upside for Henry Jokiharju is? He just seems so calm and poised in the way that he played. Do you think that he has a more offensive game? Do you think he's going to be a shutdown defenseman? Where do you see him moving forward?
I think he's one of your hybrid guys, right? I don't think he's ever going to be as, offensive upside as like Dolls is. But in the same sense, I think his game defensively is so rock solid at this age, it's only going to improve. Like, there's not many guys that you see at this age come in and can be that consistent, especially in the defensive zone. That's something that usually takes a lot of experience. And Henry's such a good kid too. He trains really hard. He takes care of himself. You can tell just like the routine that he's in every day, game day, things that he's doing to, prepare. And that's pretty impressive for a young guy, right? Like, he's definitely pretty focused. So I think for him, I don't know if he's ever going to be your number one guy over the wall, on the top pair on a power play or something like that. But I definitely think as he gets a little more confidence inside the offensive zone, he's going to be able to take a little more chances and create a lot more offense. But on the plus side, a guy that can play shutdown defense at 20 years old, he's going to be a good defenseman for a lot of years.
Carter Hutton joining us. Riv, looks like you're about to say something.
No, I just love the word hybrid guy. I mean, he's just. I feel the exact same way. It's well.
So who's a hybrid guy in the league now? Would you say Carter or Riv? Who do you think is a hybrid player in the NHL?
Like I think about, like, if you're talking about like a high end guy, I think about like Pietrangelo, a guy who he's going to be your first guy over the wall to play shutdown minutes, but he's also going to be your guy that's going to create offense too. Where obviously that's an extreme, right? He's obviously one of the most elite guys in the league, but if I think of a guy that can be just elite on both sides of the puck, it's him.
Absolutely. I was going to say Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty's the same thing. He's, around the same size. Obviously, Drew Doughty's a little bit heavier and thicker, but he's a utility guy. He plays against the top team's other best players. He's on the power play. He's doing everything. He's like the Swiss Army knife.
Definitely agree for sure.
Carter Hutton joining us here in the Instigators, kind enough to take some time out of his quarantine as we're all at home waiting for everything to kind of come together. I'll ask you the question I think we've been seeing from a lot of players. I don't know if you've seen these videos with the players. They're all kind of chatting with each other. There's 4 guys on a monitor, and heard Sid have his opinion on playoffs, and I don't know if you heard Connor McDavid's opinion on playoffs. I think they kind of see things differently. In or out, do you have an opinion on what you'd like to see happen with the league if it resumes?
Yeah, you definitely like to see at least someone play for the Stanley Cup. It'd be weird not to have a playoffs in that sense. But I agree with both sides of it, right? You just want to get it done because you don't want it to lag too far into next season. But then McDavid's point about injuries and it just being a bloodbath out there, I totally understand that, right? It's hard to just take this much time off when obviously we still don't know, but to just jump back into it. But I think the powers that be, the biggest thing is with the NHL and the NHLPA, it's about dollars, right? So everything's going to be managed through managing money and what's going to be the best for, they don't want to see a break in the action, right? It is what it is. So, but at the same time, our union, we got to manage healthy, right? We don't want to hurt guys and then have it lag into next season where we can really have it hurt. But hopefully, just for sake of people in general, that we can figure this out sooner than later.
Are you a player rep, or were you ever a player rep? No,
I've never been. I've always been such a borderline guy. I was always worried about getting that tag. So I think every time I always, was just kind of on teams and trying to make sure I was fighting to stay in the league. So for that, I never did. But I always try to have my opinion now. I think as I've gotten older, you have a little more confidence during those, meetings and to speak up and kind of see what you think.
Riv, anything cabin related? What have you been watching on TV, Carter? What are you doing with your time? Have you kind of jumped on board this Tiger King thing? I mean, what are you doing time-wise when the kids go to bed?
I did watch that Tiger King, I think, because I was a little out of the loop with my buddies in a group chat. That's outrageous. I can't believe that's real life. But honestly, right now we play a lot of, I don't know if you ever played this game called Fibbage, or like it's called Jackbox. So it has a bunch of board games. It's on the TV, and you play from your phone. So we've been Skyping with like friends and family, and we all get on and we play these games. It's hilarious. There's Fibbage, Drawful, and Quiplash. It's kind of like trivia and different drawing games, but it's all like humorous. So we kind of spend our nights having maybe a drink or two and playing a little bit of that.
Can you give us an example of a question to see if it fits our intelligence level?
Well, so Fibbage would be like, have you ever played, how do I explain it? So it'd be like a definition maybe, or a true fact. Like in 1990 in Sweden, a company was fined for producing blank. And then you have to make up what you think the answer is. So everybody in the group makes up an answer, and then you vote on which one you think is correct. If you get the actual right answers in there.
It's like Balderdash.
Yeah, it's just like Balderdash, but you don't have to make up the full definition. You're just making up like the word. Because in Balderdash, I'm pretty sure you write out the full definition. But I'm a big fan of Balderdash as well.
So, like, for instance, I would say it would be IKEA, and because they made beds without bed frames.
Yes, whatever, yeah. But you want to be a little bit, you want to be outlandish. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh man.
Hey, I don't know. Something like that. I don't even know if
Yeah,
IKEA was around back then.
Whatever. As long as you can suck the people into it, you'll win.
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, good luck to you. Riv, anything else?
I want to play that game. You could be my wife, Petey, because I'm going to tell you, you have ridiculous knowledge about nothing.
Like what? IKEA? Never heard of it?
I don't even know how your brain works. Like, you're like Rain Man of like useless information.
IKEA is the only Swedish company I know, Riv. I like Dolph Lundgren's not a company.
You should be.
Yeah, he should be. Carter, you know who Dolph Lundgren is?
I do.
Oh, you're lucky.
All right.
You're lucky. Listen, take care of yourself.
Ivan Drago.
There you go.
What were you just about?
I must break you.
Okay. Take care, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.